Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of, what's this show called again?
Gainz and Aches.
Aches and Gainz!
There it is. Yep.
With Doc and Donnie. I am Dr. Hayes Estes from Premier Physical Therapy. Donnie! What's up, man?
Nothing, man. See, I have a problem that you don't ever have to deal with. And that's
Shampooing your hair?
Part of it right. So today I'm having what's called a bad hair day, and for this filming it'll be a bad hair month. But so I'm sitting here trying to get my hair to cooperate. What little I have left, yeah. I mean, compared to him, I've got luscious locks, but for most people it's creeping, and it's just not sitting well today. So here we are. I'm worried about that. That's my main concern today.
That's your concern.
Yeah. First world problems. I get it. Yeah.
It's just it still doesn't cover up your face.
Yeah,
so,
well, that's what the beard's there for, and at least that's if I could get the beard to grow like all around here, it'd be perfect, right? Yeah, wouldn't have to wear a face mask.
Would you like the Wolfman?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Team Wolf.
Yeah. Well, like Santa Claus, man, you don't see that guy's face except for his eyes. It's perfect.
Yeah, he's also wearing. Okay. What
yeah,
is there? Is that's it?
That's it. That's my
your
problem.
Intro? That's your intro.
That's my problem.
God, these shows always suck when you do the intros.
You know what? You're not wrong.
So I don't know if we're gonna let people know what month that we're filming this. I guess we'll give it away.
Yes.
So we are. It is December.
The holidays.
It is the holiday season. We're in the holiday spirit as always. And right now, technically, is Deadcember as well. The folks said it's yeah, exactly. It's Sorinex have decided to try to kill everyone out there and doing a deadlifting month. So I have my Squattober t-shirt on right now because, hey, Donnie, did you know that I did Squattober?
You told us. Yeah, that's kind of like CrossFit. You've told us.
And the reason I'm mentioning both of those is we're going to talk about the Bulgarian training method today.
Eastern Bloc stuff.
And Deadcember and Squattober are borderline the Bulgarian training method, but you probably won't die.
Yeah,
with those,
you don't have to worry about Drago
in.
coming in.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, well, if he dies, he dies. Yeah,
yeah.
You're just dragging your body.
That's it.
Off of the floor and saying, "Good luck to you, sir."
Yes.
You were the one who wanted to bring this one up.
Absolutely.
So, please, what was your motivation?
Well, so
that?
the Bulgarian method is obviously used in different formats of training, but powerlifting seems to be one of the main format it's used in modern day. And I don't believe it's used that often even anymore. I think it was used more in previous generations, but it's still around, of course, and I've seen it trained, and I've never personally trained it myself because I don't believe I was ready for it, which we'll get into moving forward. But I think it's a great thing to talk about because more often than not, people tend to test strength instead of training strength when they're not programmed properly at the gym. You have people that are constantly talking about PRs, and
how many times a year do you try to test your 1 rep max?
Well, I'll be honest. When I was in competition mode, we would probably I would never max out in the gym. Never max out to my what I thought was my 100%.
Yeah.
I would get close 96, 97 towards the end of contest prep. But I promise you, unless I was testing to see how my body would respond for recovering from an injury, or if I didn't have a meet up and I wanted to just peak, I would not do it in the gym because I was the type of person I wanted my numbers to count. And still to this day, all of my PRs are on a contest or on a meet platform with judges around me.
As they should be.
Videoed and everything. Yeah, absolutely. So there's no contesting it. In my opinion, if you have 3 judges that give you a go and you have video evidence, I mean, that's there. I would not do it there. So, and the Bulgarian method is one of which where you're training, but at a testing your strength percentage-wise. Yeah. So that's a great, and in my opinion, if you're gonna test your strength all the time for your ego, why don't you just get on a good program that at least gives you some benefit from it? You can follow something. So, hey, some of those guys out there that are all about ego training, jump on Bulgarian method.
Good. See how long you last.
See how long you last.
Yeah.
And now that's where I'm going to hand it over to you. It's very critically acclaimed, of course, because of the way it tests your body. You're training, and for those of you who don't know, Bulgarian method is pretty much training almost every lift 5 to 6 times a week at a maximum level, 90+%. Sometimes they say 87.5, but I've rarely seen it below 90% for most prescriptions. And you're training it every day, all the lifts. I mean, you're training you're not doing much accessory work in this program, if at all. You're doing a lot of main lift at high percentages at low numbers of reps.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So it's taxing on the body. There's no doubt about it. Now, whether the body breaks or grows is up to other extenuating circumstances. But go ahead and take it from there on that one.
So a little more history. Made famous by the Bulgarian weightlifting coach. I'm going to completely screw up this name. Ivan Abadajev. Sure. So he won Bulgaria's first gold medal at a World Championships in 1957. So he's the one who is credited with creating this training method. But like you said, 5 or 6 days a week, you are training movements like snatches, clean and jerk, deadlifts, squats, all these big power movements at or near your highest intensity. So sometimes there are some variables where potentially you could go into that day and find what's called your daily max. So you're still essentially assessing your 1 rep max, and then based off of that for that day, you train at maybe 85, 87.5, 90% of what you did that day. But you're doing that day in, day out, 6 days a week. Maybe there's one rest day. And even, Ivan here didn't even really believe in rest days. What he was quoted as saying is that basically, like, the more that you rest, the more that the connective tissue has time to stiffen up. And so the point that he was trying to make with this training method was that keep that connective tissue moving by doing the same thing at heavy intensities every single day.
And I assume the basis behind it was grow or die. I mean, the body will have to adapt just like anything else.
Yeah.
The problem is that second alternative is always there.
Yeah.
Like in this case, not so much perish from existing, but injury.
Yeah.
And that's the point. It's like a top fuel dragster motor. It was going great right until a piston shot through the head. Everything was going great right until that point.
Yeah.
So and that's kind of where you're
right until those patellas just snapped.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So going back to Squattober, not to brag about myself, but it did. It wasn't a lifetime PR, but my PR on my squat went up 15 pounds and over
in a 4-week block of training.
In a 4-week block of training. So there can you can see benefits from this. Normally the blocks of training are probably more like 12 to 16 weeks, but regardless, doing this type of stuff, you definitely can see the benefits, and you will see it again as long as you don't die. So. Was there any other particular what did you want to discuss with this besides telling people what it is?
So I've seen
we have our thoughts on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah,
no, go ahead. What were
you so the whole point of this is to it's for weightlifting competitions. It's to get your 1 rep max.
Yes,
to shoot it through the roof.
Yeah, this is not for volume style training where you're trying to increase your 8 rep max or anything like that. This is purely for testing your strength to see what your body can produce at a single time and moment for 1 repetition.
The goal at the end of the block is you better have increased your 1 rep max.
Absolutely.
That's the whole point.
And I have a former training partner of mine who I consider a friend who did really well at this. Female, natural tested lifter. No anabolics in there. At the time, in her mid-30s, and she saw great results. And I believe she did this training method for several years. And I watched her, and of course, you would have people looking like, man, squatting again. There she is squatting. Oh, deadlifting again. And you're going to have people like that who don't understand, and not to say that they're wrong. But she was very well versed in what she knew what she was doing. She had a coach. She was being trained. And she was intelligent herself. I'm going to go here that she had a lot of success until she didn't. And then she trained her training methods and it went on to be even further, one of the best in the world. Some of you may know who she is. I'm not going to say her name just for her, whatever purposes. But she's gone on to be probably the best in the world at her weight class, and but she did do this for several years. The external factors is she was the most dedicated lifter outside of the gym that I've ever seen in my life. And everybody can be dedicated inside the gym. I see it a lot. You go in there, train all day. Outside the gym is where it's tough. Mm-hmm. I struggle with it. I know most people struggle with it out there. Proper nutrition.
I'm perfect.
Yeah, of course he is. Yeah, proper nutrition, hydration, sleep. How about that? Following your circadian rhythms. Eating the proper times. Training without fail. I mean, like I before the show, I was talking about. It was literally, if it was Christmas and a training day fell on Christmas waited until training was done. That was how it worked with her, but that's how it needed to be in order to make this productive, and it was. Now, if I would be willing to bet that had she not been that vigilant outside of the gym and with food and hydration and sleep, that she would not have seen success for as long as she did. I will go ahead and say that. And that's the problem with this method. If you're going to do this, much like many other high-level methods, is you need to be prepared to let your entire life be a part of this, not just in the gym for that 2 hours a day. It's 24 hours a day. And then I'm going to pass it over to you because I think you have something to do as far as skill level, as far as time and training is also a big factor in this. Not just what you do, but how long you've been doing this. So what's your take on that?
So there wasn't anything in the research that specifically looked at the Bulgarian training method itself. In terms of preventing injury or anything along those lines. I mean, we've talked before in here about in season stuff for athletes. How you can train, you can improve your injury resilience. We're going to talk at future episodes about age and how doing resistance strengthening at basically any age you will see benefits from it. And honestly, it's the majority of people out there, save for expert lifters or like world championship competition level lifters, and not everyone is as perfect outside of the gym as your friend was, and so basically you're inside the gym. Yeah. So if you have a program, you're going to probably benefit from that program, regardless of what kind of program it is. So now we're talking about, okay, well, if I'm going to benefit, do I have to do the Bulgarian training method? And the answer is probably no, unless you are close to expert level, and you can manage outside of the gym everything else perfectly, because this is a method of training that basically, like you said, everything outside of the gym has to go perfectly. And if not, you're going to see, like, if you don't sleep that well the night before and you're trying to establish a daily max, and you walk into the gym and lo and behold, like you can't do half of what you did the day before because you got 3 hours of sleep. Yeah. Well, guess what? Like, your training's obviously going to suffer. So, and
versus if it were a 75% day, you might be able to max.
You might be able to hit it.
Might through it.
Yeah, exactly. And so then we talk about the mental side of this. So we talked before about, is fatigue real, or the concept or the theory that fatigue is basically your body's way of preventing you from dying during a workout. Mm-hmm. And so if I am pushing it to the max every single time, at some point my body's probably going to say, listen, dude, like, we need to take a day and just chill. Maybe we go like kick your feet up. Maybe we don't even need to come into the gym today, let alone try to squat at 95% of my 1 rep max. So it's
and now are you going, and here's another thing, if that's prescribed for you to do that day, and that day you're feeling, I just do not feel like I could do this, you're forced to either go off of your training method, or put yourself in a situation where you could risk injury at a higher percentage than a normal day where you're feeling up to training.
And remember, the guy who created this, and you were saying before we got on the air, the guy who created this, like, his whole goal was just to build up the best weightlifting team in the world that he could. So if one person, falls off, blows out a patella, it doesn't matter. Next man up. And so it's not for someone else who's out there who's just kind of like, hey man, like, I just like to squat. No, it's this is for people who I'm trying to be the best person in the world, win a world championship, win an Olympic medal, and that's it. And so
in that instance, I believe this is a very effective training method.
Yeah.
When your personal health and concern are not forefront. You're not paramount on there because. As like you said, as a weightlifting coach in there, and let's be honest, in the Eastern Bloc, human rights weren't the forefront there either. So they didn't per se care if you broke and fell out. Like you said, they have another person out. I actually have another friend of mine, and I'll actually say his name. He's a great guy. He lives right around Kotze. He was a Bulgarian national champion, extremely strong young man from Bulgaria. He competed on the national level. National team. He was the guy. Very, very small in stature, but extremely strong. And then when he stopped winning, he'll tell you, they shut his lights off in his apartment, left him in the cold in the winter, stopped giving him money for food. And he migrated over to the United States via powerlifting, won a green card or a work visa at a international powerlifting meet, came over here, is now a citizen, and is a fantastic human being. And he'll tell you that. He's like, as soon as they were done with me, they were done.
Yeah.
And that's what he was. He was a great lifter until the next guy came up and outdid him.
Yep.
So you got to think about that. You're not that guy, most likely. You're somebody who enjoys doing this for fun, for health, and this kind of stuff. Your life outside of lifting matters compared to where some people that were doing this just did not.
Yeah.
So
they had a
keep that in mind.
Singular focus.
That's it.
And that was it. So,
Cool.
Going back to the evidence side of it, if you want to increase your 1 rep max, we've shown on here, we've talked about it before, and there's plenty of evidence out there. You do not have to train at your 1 rep max or near your 1 rep max all the time to see an increase in your 1 rep max. Sub-maximal efforts, even at 60 to 80% of training of your 1 rep max, you'll still see an increase in your 1 rep max.
Absolutely.
So, now every once in a while, am I going to increase the intensity? Yeah, you have to. You do have to kind of test and scratch the surface a little bit. But if you're doing it every single time, at some point, say, like you said, adapt or die. So,
You liken it to stepping on the scale for weight loss.
Yeah.
You know whether you're doing the right things. You don't need to step on the scale to do it every day. Step on the scale every month or so to see where you're at or whatever.
Yeah.
But you don't need to step on it every day if you're doing the right things.
Exactly.
Training's the same way.
Yes.
If you're doing proper training and doing the things right, unless there's something else that's extremely wrong that has nothing to do with training, your maximum effort will increase if you're training properly. You don't need to test it all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So, one last thing, and then we will get on to everyone's favorite part of the show. So, when because again, I live in the world of pain or weakness or stiffness, but mostly pain. And so people, when I see my lifters who come in and they talk about programming, you don't need to adjust programming. You don't need to adjust technique unless there's pain or unless you have a plateau in performance. So meaning like you can effectively use this technique. You can't effectively use this method until or unless you start to get pain and plateau, then we need to take a step back and assess the method.
Absolutely.
And at that point, it's not you don't keep trying to jam a square peg into a round hole.
Just because it says so.
Just because it says, well, I gotta do 95% 1 rep max in my squats today for a 5x2. So, let's do it. And you feel like absolute crap. No.
I tell my clients that their program is a living organism, and that's exactly what they're doing. Is if I would much rather them adjust and then let me know than stick to it and hurt themselves.
Yeah.
So now at some point you can't be adjusting every day and not skipping out on stuff. But if you just because it says you have to do it doesn't mean that's gospel.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. And you have to adjust when your body tells you, hey, something's wrong.
Yeah. So if you are an expert lifter and you've never tried it, okay, give it a shot. Yeah. If you're a novice or intermediate lifter, I think that there are better ways for you to do it. And that was a shameless plug. This portion of the show is brought to you by the Strength and Performance Institute.
Yeah, exactly.
Here it is.
I paid him.
Here it is. Yeah. All right,
man. Let's move on to it. Let's.
All right. So now it's time for everyone's favorite part of the show, my mom included. Bro science, milfs.
You almost hit me.
Or pet peeves. We're going to do myths today. We're going to do myths. This is mine. Can you target just your VMO when you're doing your leg extensions of your squats? No. All right, we're done.
What?
Yeah. What?
But it says I can isolate.
What? I can isolate, but no. All right. So, all right. I will admit there was a recent article that came out that showed that potentially changing the angle of your femur when you do leg extensions, you have greater EMG activity in the VMO compared to the VLO. For those who don't know what VMO and VLO are, it's the inner part of vastus medialis, vastus lateralis, the inner part of your quad versus the outer part of your quad.
The teardrop is the VMO.
Yeah, there you go. So, for our bodybuilding friends out there who think they're targeting something, maybe you're getting a little bit more EMG activity, but without going too much beyond our time here, EMG activity has little correlation at this point to muscle hypertrophy. We don't really know exactly what EMG activity means in that context. So even though you can feel it burning more, guess what? The VMO and the VLO is all the same nerve. The same nerve innervates that muscle. They're both firing. You can't fire one and not fire the other. So, sorry.
And let's also say, like, from your end of it, if you're having a severe size difference from one to the other, there may be a nervous issue going on there, and not so much just the undertraining, overtraining issue. There may be something internally going on there. So that's at some point, if you're seeing a drastic difference, which you really shouldn't, if you're doing a well-rounded program of exercises, squatting, not just doing leg extensions and going home, you should see a round. But if not, then hey, maybe someone, this guy, maybe someone to help out. Look at
this
that.
part of the show brought to you by Premier Physical Therapy.
There you go. Look at that. God, this is bad.
So good. These guys should pay us, huh?
Yeah, they should.
So listen, you can't. If maybe best case scenario, your self-generated placebo effects can somehow get your VMO to grow.
That'd be fantastic.
And if you have that much mind power,
come talk to me. I want to learn from you.
Then you and Tony Robbins should take over the world. But in all honesty, no, you're not going to be able to just target one part of a muscle. There you go. All right.
Yep.
Man, this was a sciencey episode.
I'm telling you, we didn't even do anything.
We were so serious.
We need to make a fart joke or something here soon.
I guess you guys got to tune into the next one.
Yeah,
so,
all right. Be a lot dumber next time.
let me keep hydrating.
Yeah, it gets better, guys. It gets better, or worse, whichever you consider.
On that note, Donnie, where can they find you on the internets?
They can find me at facebook.com/Strength and Performance Institute, which is right here in Clearwater, Florida. Also on the Instagrams, which is the fun stuff, /Donnie Kiernan. You see all the fun stuff. That's all work and fun. A lot of selfies, a lot of client activity, a lot of cool stuff. So yeah, check it out there. And then you.
Yeah. So again, I am
sciencey nerds.
I'm Dr. Hayes Estes. I'm a doctor of physical therapy, the owner of Premier Physical Therapy, also here in Clearwater. We are on the Facebook. They still say the Facebook.
Yeah,
right?
until Mark Zuckerberg takes that away. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're on the Facebook at Premier Physical Therapy, Sports Performance in Clearwater. We're also on Instagram. It's everyone's favorite motion. We're on Instagram at Run. Are you done yet? I'm sorry. Run Tampa Bay. That's for the fun stuff.
Was that a sprint?
For you, it was. Mm-hmm. Right. We're out.
All right. Boom. All right. You
lucid.
You ready?
Yeah. Good. No, cut that part out.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Scene.
Yeah.